Jade and I were talking, and we realized that some of you actually don't know how to fish. And so Jaden is, well, I wouldn't say you're a pro, but you...
No, I'll say I'm okay. I fish tournaments, as you guys know from the last video, and so I kind of know my stuff here and there. I obviously have room to improve, but...
Right. And so do I. I mean, so, like, that's how Jaden and I met. I actually live in the neighborhood, and Jaden was fishing, and we kind of just like started talking about different lures and different techniques. I was never really good at fishing Texas rig or jigs, but getting to talk about that with him, I realized there's some people out there who have confidence lures, and there's some people who just haven't really tried a lot out there. So if you're just getting into bass fishing, there's a lot. It can be daunting.
There's so much tackle out there, so it's like you don't know what to pick or what's going on. So we're gonna try and help you here. We're at Walmart here, and we're gonna pick out a couple lures here and there that are cheap, that are gonna get you fish.
So these are our number one suggestions for what lures you should be throwing in order to catch a fish. I mean, 90% of the time, 95%, you're gonna catch a fish.
You're gonna get something eventually,
and you're gonna save some money. You'll be good. So let's go inside. We're at the place where you get cheap things. Walmart. So we're gonna go inside. We're gonna show you what to get. So when you guys are out fishing, we're assuming that you're beginners, right? So you're not fishing from a boat. You're fishing from the shoreline. And when you're doing that, you're going to need to work the different levels of the water column. So sometimes the bass are going to be hitting on bottom, sometimes they're going to be hitting on the surface, and sometimes you want a moving bait. So with moving baits, I like to think of them as a searching bait. So you're actually going to be fan casting, and you can fan cast with all of these. The reason why we're choosing these baits is because they're probably the easiest to use. Easiest to get a hook up on.
We know you're gonna catch fish,
and it gives you multiple options just in case the bass are, finicky. Not
or if they're really hitting.
Exactly.
If they're really hitting, you don't want to be throwing a weightless Senko around. You want to be throwing something that they're gonna go and smack.
So speaking of weightless Senkos, we're gonna start off with soft plastics. They're cheap. They kill. They're amazing. So Jaden's gonna talk you through the soft plastics.
Okay, so first for soft plastics, I'm gonna choose the Chigger Craw. Skeet Reese won the Bassmaster Classic on these. Great craw lure. And then I'm gonna pick the Yum Dinger. So you're gonna Texas rig this and this, but you can also use this as a wacky rig. So these Yum Dingers are $247. They're cheap and they're reliable. They work. And then you're gonna pay a little bit more here, $366 for a craw, but the craw is gonna be really good. So you're gonna wanna let it sit for either a really long time or just like 1 or 2 seconds, depending on how your fish are acting. So 1 or 2 seconds, if they are snapping and you're catching a lot of fish, you can just go boop, boop. But if they're finicky and they're not eating it as much, you pull it up, let it sit. 3, 4, 5 seconds. So you're gonna fish these on the bottom. So you're gonna like lift up and they're gonna come up and then back down. They're gonna come up and back down. And you're gonna feel like a brr, brr on the end of your line, and that's when you know. And then you just jack them. You let them have it. Kind of like how you fish the craw, you would fish the jig. So this is a great jig trailer, bringing you onto the jig. $1.56 bass jig. It's an Arky style jig, which is like you do everything jig. You're gonna have to have a trailer on this, so that's what those Chigger Craws are gonna be great for. You're gonna kind of fish this like a Texas rig, but a little bit slower. This is gonna be a great springtime and fall time lure, where your Texas rig is gonna be more of a summertime lure. So you're gonna wanna throw this around cover, you're gonna wanna fan cast with it, but if you see like fallen limbs and things like that, you're gonna wanna cast to those objects and let them fall. Those bass are gonna be sitting there, and once they see your jig fall, they're gonna snap on. You could swim this jig, but I will really not recommend it. This is more of a casting jig where you cast and retrieve. If you need to use a swim jig or a moving bait, I would use a swimming jig, or I would go to a different type of moving bait, like a spinner bait or a swim bait or a crankbait or other things. So let's talk about the spinner
bait. Your knees hurting?
Yes, bro.
Jaden was playing ball earlier, so his knees are toast.
Going on to a spinnerbait, I'm just gonna go with this nice cheap $3.96 spinnerbait. I'm going with white because it mimics more of a bait fish presentation. These are the spinners. These are gonna be putting out vibration and flash, so it's gonna call fish in while you're fan casting. So this is a lure that you're gonna wanna fish maybe like towards the top in the middle of the water column. You want to fan cast this lure so you can cover as much water as you can as fast as you can. You don't want to burn the lure, but you also want to fish it pretty fast.
So when we're saying fan cast, we're saying you want to cast to the left and then a little bit over to the middle, a little bit over. So that way you're covering as all this water. And then if you don't catch anything there and a certain amount of time goes by, we're going to go to a new part of the bank and fan cast that as well. You're covering water. A lot of people say fishing takes a lot of patience.
It can, but it also can.
I mean, I don't have a lot of patience. That's a fan cast, move on to the next spot type of deal.
This is going to be a great spring and fall time lure, but you can also use it in the summer. You can use it all year long, and it's a great moving bait. But mainly in the summer, I would kind of switch to a swim bait. We'll talk about that later.
This is also really good in wind, choppy waters. And then throw in a trailer.
Also muddy water.
We can throw a trailer on there too if you want to beef up the presentation.
That's for sure.
All right, so we also need to go over terminal tackles. So if you're fishing the Texas rig with the soft plastics, you need to get hooks. I'm going to show you which hooks and weights, and we're going to show you which ones to grab. So they're over here this way.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a 1/8 ounce weight. So some people are going to say like this is too heavy. Some people are going to say it's too light. I think this is a great in between weight. It's not going to be too bulky like this 1/2 ounce or this 1/4 ounce. These bullet weights are bullet shaped, so they're going to go through the grass and cover a lot better than like a normal weight would, or like some type of weight like that'll get stuck. So these are going to slither through your cover so you can fish more grass. So moving on to hooks, I would go over here and I would take these 3/0 worm hooks. These are 246. They're not bad at all, and they'll be able to fish great. So you're going to want a Texas rig with these, not wacky rig. When you're wacky rigging, you're going to want to use a circle hook, probably a 1/0 or a 2/0 size. You're going to also want to have an O-ring with that, but as a beginner, you won't need it. But it will save you more baits, so you won't have to spend as much money.
Don't go too cheap on your hooks, though, because these are a good quality hook.
You don't want to buy these $1.44 hooks that are going to bend out on you, and then you're going to lose your fish and you're going to be pissed.
Moreover, there's some red ones here that, I mean, they're EWGs, they're 2/0, but these things, if you try to go in with those, I mean, you're saving 10 cents, but these are going to probably bend a little bit more, I'd say. So the 3/0's really, I think that's probably about as small as you would want to go on a T-rig. A lot of people say 4/0's the best way, but I don't know. This is what we're finding on here. There's a lot of 3/0. And speaking of Skeet Reese is the guy who
won the Bassmaster Classic on the Jigger Cross.
Guys, last thing before we leave, we're assuming that you already have a fishing rod reel set up, but if you don't go off of price alone. I mean, you can grab a rod for $5.88 here. Those are going to be just garbage. It's not going to work for you. If we had to suggest a beginning setup, if you don't know how to use a bait caster, I'd say spinning is going to be a lot easier. I think if you got a bait caster to start off with, you're going to backlash a lot, and that might just turn you off from fishing altogether. So this combo by Abu Garcia at $40, I would recommend. It seems to be smooth. It has a good feel when we picked it up. The only thing I would say is that you would want to replace this line. It's probably not a good pound test. It's probably like 6 pound. It's monofilament,
which has been on there for forever, so it's gonna have crazy memory and it's gonna break.
It will just come off in spirals and it won't actually ever straighten out, and it'll snap on you. So you'd have to replace the line. And if you're getting the line, this is where Jade and I differ. I would say that you're fine to get spider wire if you're just beginning, but line is really important. And if you want to get good line, I would say you'd have to get Suffix 832. Or
this Power Pro is the
Power
same
Pro
price as the spider wire. So I would actually,
the Power
100%, no questions asked, go with this 30-pound Power Pro.
30 pound.
I would buy this right now as a tournament fisherman.
And we're talking about, so again, we're talking shore fishermen for the most part, because you're beginners. 30 pound is what you want. You might be thinking that's a lot heavier than any fish I'm going to be pulling, but you're talking about tensile strength when you're whipping a lure through the air to get it out there. You need something that's got a heavier tensile strength, otherwise you're going to be snapping off left and right. Braid doesn't have any give, so it's really forgiving if you get hung up in like weeds or anything. Whereas mono's got a lot of give and it tends to snap. Fluoro is really important if you're going to be doing anything like lower water column. You want it to sink. Braid floats. I mean, we can go talk about all this stuff until we're blue in the face, but I don't know. I think I fished straight braid for a really long time. It's really forgiving, and it's a good choice. So I'd go with braid. Also, if you do want to go with a bait caster and challenge yourself, you're going to have to watch some videos on how to set up and do your breaks, because we could talk about that for way too long. But this combo that they sell at Walmart, was that $65 for the combo?
Yep, 68, 55.
Good combo, decent rod. The reel's really smooth. It's not
the price point.
Yeah, I mean, for the price point.
And it's a 7-foot medium heavy. This is a do everything rod. Everything that you can think of, you can almost do it on this rod.
All of these things that we have will work
on this
rod and reel. Guys, there's so much more obviously here. We'll talk about fishing line in another video coming up. We'll talk about which ones are good. We're gonna actually test out some fluorocarbon and see, like, are these like prestigious brands the best, or can you get away with like spider wire or some of the cheaper stuff? I don't know. I actually don't know. We'll find out when we take it. And also, we haven't even talked about topwater. If you are really interested in topwater is what hooked me into bass fishing. I had a lot of luck as a beginner on a popper. I think
you'll want to do a popper, especially if you have a spinning rod, because you can get away with that way easier.
Buzz baits, I love buzz baits, but again, the technique and how to retrieve it is hard to master. So just as a beginner, you are a beginner, I'm guessing, I'd say go with the popper, and then also just go with these baits. This is a good starting point, and then branch out. There's so much here. Guaranteed someone's caught something on everything that's here at some way or at some time. At one point, something here was the juice for that day, and you'll figure it out. We're gonna go over more of this back at home and show you how to rig up the Texas rig, and yeah, we'll see you back at home. All right, so we're back home and we're gonna get right into this tackle. We're gonna show you how to do a Texas rig setup. I've got my spin casting pole and reel, and I've got straight braid like we recommended to you. So we're gonna do a Palomar knot, show you how to do that in case you don't know. So hopefully this video is like a one-stop shop for you
for any beginner fisherman.
All right, we're gonna get right into it.
So first we're gonna thread on the weight for your Texas rig. All right, so we're tying the Palomar knot. First, you're gonna double your line over. Doubled line, do the hook, the overhand knot with the doubled line. So then you get that through there, you pull, and this loop that you have at the end goes around your hook. Put the bite around your hook. Now you're gonna pull your main line tight, pull, and then pull your tag in. And then you cut your tag in off. You got the leftover tag in. I'll probably take as close as I can get to the knot without thinking it's gonna pull out. Okay, so I'll leave it a 1/4 inch just so it doesn't pull out, and then you're done. You're gonna wanna put the point of the hook all the way down until where you reach the curve, and that's when you're gonna pull through, push all the way to the head, and then that's gonna go up and over. Now I'm gonna Tex pose it, so you take the point of your hook, put it into your bait, and push it through, just like that. You're gonna want to bury the point of your hook just a little bit in your bait so it becomes completely weedless, and you will not get snagged on anything. But when you set the hook on a fish, it'll pop right out.
When we checked out, it was $15.
$15.75 probably.
It was less than $16. So as you can see, $16, you can get into bass fishing for really inexpensive. And I really think you should. And go out and catch some fish. I want to get more people fishing. We want people fishing. That's what this video is about.
Get to 100 likes on this video and this tackle's yours.
I don't need these things. I got so much tackle.
Me too.
He's got a lot of tackle. We don't need this stuff. If you need it, subscribe. We will pick a winner from the people that are subscribed if we get to 100 likes on this video. 100 likes on this video.
It's not hard.
That's not hard.
Guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, and this tackle will be yours. Peace out.